another Jam Sesh. This is episode 45 with Doctors Erica, Matt, and Monica with REV. And we are holistic practitioners that love doing these sessions because these are conversations, tips, tools, tricks, everything that our clients and other people can be using outside of the nervous system integration work that we actually do at REV. So we have a very quiet, serene space. So these topics are things that we love to give to our clients, but not just our clients, to the world or anyone who is listening, who has been following us. So we're excited to dive into another episode.
Yep. Good to be back. We've taken a month off or so since our last.
Space is good.
It is good. Someone was talking to you today, Erica? And
they have not caught up on. They didn't know this was a thing.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so they have like 44 episodes basically. I was like, that's like 44 hours of content, and other people are like, when's the next one coming? So
I love that.
And we actually
love both.
And we started this like a little bit over a year ago. I was actually looking back. It was May of last year, and so we've done 45. There's 52 weeks in a year, so almost every week for a year we've had these jam sessions. And I think 6 months ago we took another like short break, and it's nice to have that space and just to kind of like frame like why. Also, we made a little shift too. Just recently we've introduced the topic of like, what are we doing, how are we creating, how are we giving value? And for me personally, what's resonated with me is doing stuff uses energy. And so are we pushing a boulder up a hill, or are we helping the boulder go down the hill? Because it takes a lot more energy and effort to push it up the hill. And there's times in life that we definitely push boulders up hills. So for us, it was kind of feeling like, oh, we're forcing this. So taking a step back, it's nice. And today we're like super excited. Today feels like a down the hill boulder moment. So I'm excited to be back. And
feels new.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to be talking about some fun stuff. We're going to kind of do like a little round robin, a couple different topics. We are going to share about a really cool study that we've done in REV over the last few weeks. That was the brainchild of Monica and executed beautifully by Erica and Lauren and her. And then we're also going to get into, because it's been a while for a lot of new people actually have recently come into REV. We actually had one of our best months ever. Most amount of people come in probably years in a single month, which was last month, which was really exciting. So we're going to talk about a process. Then really we have 3 phases that we're going to go through. So we're going to kind of dissect each and every one of those phases. And then we're going to go into our final thing, which is a round robin, which is things that we're all currently into, which we did one of the previous jam sessions that a lot of people really enjoyed. So we'll dive into that, and hopefully it relates to you, and hopefully we do that all in an hour time so we can pick up our kids in time for school. So but before we get into that, Monica, we got a couple of events. Please go over those and share with the good people.
This might not come out before our first event this month, which is going to be our expanded exhale our expanded this Thursday. I was thinking
tomorrow. Probably
Excuse
not
me,
gonna.
Tomorrow. This is one of our favorite classes that we have. These are for members only. So if you're listening, this is something that we do almost every single month. Here and there we take a month off, but it just changes everything for the sessions that our members have. And we do about a 10 to 15 minute education at the beginning of helping them to understand what their time on the table is. But it's even concepts of like life concepts of, because really how you do anything is how you do everything. So how you are on the table is how you are in the kitchen, how you are with your spouse or in the car, whatever it may be. So this is life tools that we give people and help them connect to their bodies more verbally. And then when we come back on the tables, it's a 40-minute session where Matt is going to be the voice in the sky of actually...
I'm not literally in the sky, just my voice
He
carries.
floats around here.
Every class she says that.
People
she says
can't
the voice
see,
in the
so
sky.
they don't know if that's happening.
They think I'm floating over them.
He is going to be basically doing a breath work, but very intentional breath work to connect to different areas where Dr. Eric and I are actually going around in tandem, helping you guys to connect to those specific areas. And every time I explain this to people, they're like, oh, I need to be there. And that's why it fills up so fast. So just planting the seed for the next coming months, it changes so much about people's sessions, but also just how they approach their life, the challenges, the curveballs that come their way. So that is a really awesome class coming up. And then this coming Tuesday, we have our deep dive. We do this class, the 26th at 6:15, every 6 to 8 weeks or so. This is a free class to anybody and everyone in Chattanooga or surrounding areas. If you are curious about REV and what we do here and why so many amazing changes happen and how it happens, this is the class for you. We're actually going to go over the nitty-gritty of just the science behind your body, how it's designed, how it heals, how it moves through challenges, how it stores challenges in the form of energy and stagnancy and things like that. So we're going to uncover basically the mystery of what is REV all about, basically. And it just provides so much clarity for people and empowerment. And they're so excited. They just understand more. Like, what does it say that education or
Education drives the experience.
Yeah,
So the more
really
that we can
does.
educate ourselves, and that's what we've seen over the last 10 plus years doing what we do in this deep dive class, is definitely a class that I love personally. I have a handful of jokes that I use almost to every single person that ever comes in. It's always different with different people, so they never know it's the same joke, but I'll let you guys know. We do the drawing with people, and I'm like, well, we've been doing this education for 10 plus years. I've been learning about it, so I'm going to try and take 10 years, and we put it into an hour and a half class, so it's a lot. And then we try to give it to people in 3 minutes. So anyone that's come into REV, like, we do a little drawing to really help you understand. So this is really the culmination of like 10 years of learning about neuroscience, epigenetics, how energy moves in the body, quantum physics, and like trying to piece all those things together and what we've learned, like how the body heals. And that's really the biggest thing. So I see it in people's faces during the class. It's a lot of information. Like, we go into some stuff, but it's also like, oh, like the words that we hear a lot, like that makes so much sense. And that's really what helps people to like take it to the next level.
It is a lot, because it's basically what we should have always been learning our whole lives about how our
It's
body's
reconditioning,
designed. So
yeah.
it's like years of information and paradigms in 1 hour class, basically. So it's a lot of information, but it is worth your time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like those two classes, I feel like the deep dive has been our most long lasting one. We've literally done this since the beginning of time. And the expanded exhale,
of time.
like literally, and the expanded exhale, I feel like is so special because it's actually, I feel like by request of our clients, that one, they're like, how do I get more? What do I do? So I'm like, I think that those two, if you can make it to either of those two, we do them pretty regularly, but making it to either of those two, I think those are our staples.
Those are our bread and butter,
Yeah.
and that's what we do really well. And like Monica said, we really do believe when people become educated, they become empowered, and it drives the experience. So whether it's through this or learning through different books, and people are hungry these days. And the cool thing is, we've had this conversation a lot. 10 years ago, when we opened up in Chattanooga, Tennessee, in the South, it was really hard to kind of explain this energy work and how it works. But now it's like much easier. More people are talking about nervous system regulation. We had a woman come in recently that just said in her paperwork, like, why are you coming in? Because I just feel like my light is dimmed. I'm like, oh man. So people are understanding, like, this is a real thing. This is their energy inside of them. So it is cool to see kind of that full circle moment 10 years later. So awesome. Yeah. So those are our events. Again, we do these events, the deep dive every 2 to 3 months, the expanded exhale every month. And along the way, we'll feel the inspiration to probably do more classes that we've done in the previous times where we'll
Drop below in the comments what you want to hear from us.
Yeah, totally. What was the what did we name those classes that we did? Like
Tools Beyond the Table.
Tools Beyond the Table. Yeah, we got a bunch of different names for classes, but we'll do some of those definitely probably in the fall. But let's get into a really exciting thing that we've done that Monica thought of. She had a flash of inspiration. She shared it with the team. We're like, heck yeah, let's do that. So we recently did a Oura Ring study where we got 5, well, we said 5 and maybe a 6th person
Snuck in.
snuck in there that had data on their Oura Ring. And for those of you that do wear Oura Rings or don't know wear Oura Rings, you Oura Ring people, you love your Oura Rings and you get great data and you use that stuff. So Monica, it was your idea. We've gone through this process. Share a little bit about what your intention was and then what we've seen. And then, Erica, I know you worked with a lot of people as well. So maybe share kind of the results.
I'm like a secret data person. You probably wouldn't expect that out of me. I actually really love research, and I actually can appreciate some left brain stuff, although I'm very right brain. I'm very much in my heart, and like I follow my trust as far as the next moves in my life. But I understand that a lot of people begin a journey of health and wellness of just connecting deeper within themselves through left brain as far as what are my next steps. And so that's kind of why it just dropped into me. I think I was adjusting one day and I was like, I don't even have an Oura Ring. So this is not necessarily how I live and how I move, but I understand that is very typical and it is very alluring for people to see their data. So what came to me was I was like, I would just love for some people, 5, 6 people that have been wearing an Oura Ring these people have been wearing them for years. I would say most of them a year to 2 years minimum.
Many months a year data.
So they have a lot of data. And I just wanted from scratch what it actually looked like when someone came to REV, began the process with an initial consultation, understood their body, how it's designed, and then began the process of integration here. And that was kind of it. So for 4 weeks, twice a week, this is what they did only.
Our reset process.
Our reset process, our first 30-day reset. And it shows tremendously on this data of what they're giving us. We are through the reset with 5 of 6. 6 is going to be done, I think, this week or next week. Yeah. The biggest thing about it, though, is we're going to have the most data coming up at the quarter mark, so when they're here for 3 months. So we have a lot of screenshots. We have a ton of data that has been exciting to see, but more is to come, I would say, the next 6 to 8 weeks.
And I would say too, like a lot of people, when we were talking about this, Monica had this like divine drop in, and I was walking out of like a reassessment at this point, and literally Roseanne's like, if I see this again, the Oura Ring thing, and I started realizing we get like a reassessment form where people fill out the changes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I start looking back. I'm like, so many people are remarking different changes on their Oura Ring. So the clients that have already been around here for a while too, I don't even know if that's something that clicked for them, but essentially the Oura Ring is like a vitality tracker pretty much. And I'm like, the number one thing that's going to affect your vitality is what's going on the inside. And I'm like, what a perfect way to blend the information of like knowledge and data with, like, as Monica's saying, like the wisdom of like the experience as well. So I think this definitely attracted a unique crowd and also people that were already like kind of in the bubble of wellness. So it's been so cool to see them grow.
And it's been interesting because we will post the screenshots, we'll post like some of the things that people tell us, like for instance, one girl, she was 2 weeks in and her sleep score is usually like a 74. And she said for the first time ever, it was actually a 92. And she's like, you don't even understand how transformational that is for me only 2 weeks in. So to be able to share that with people and for them to be like, oh, that's just not woo woo or whatever. That actually is real hard science. Like, and if that affects that person, it can affect me. So this is also, my heart is that I believe everyone can benefit from being here. That's really what it is. And some people, the block to getting here is actually the left brain and feeling like it doesn't work or it won't work for me or whatever, but it's not true. And so just to have hard facts about it is really cool.
Like proof.
The proof. We say the proof is in the pudding, but there are other people that need the objective data. And, you know, I'm not necessarily one of those people, neither is Monica necessarily, but I get it because it's funny. We've posted online, you know, screenshots, never putting the names, whatever, but like hundreds of people overcoming anxiety, PTSD, chronic headaches, all sorts of stuff, like 330 something plus Google reviews online, all sharing their story. And like people will see that and are like, oh, no. But then they see like my sleep score increased by 10. Oh man, this is like, right. Like, so like I working with someone, like they were looking at their objective data, they were sharing it with me. And I was like, love it. And I'm so happy that we're seeing this change. And I genuinely said to them, I care about that, but I don't really care that much about it. I care more subjectively, like, how are you? And just to give you data, we have our 6-person reassessment finishing up this week. I'm pretty sure she will continue. But the first 5, every single one of them, we told them this first month was absolutely complimentary, absolutely free. This is for you. No need to continue afterwards. All 5 of them signed up for a year-long membership because like, oh man, like this is actually really helping me. Not only can I see the data from my heart rate variability, you know, how I'm sleeping, my readiness, my activity levels, all this stuff, I'm seeing improvements, but I like feel more connected. Like, you know, did something pop out with you guys? And I know we've talked about a little bit about what they've experienced outside of objective data. Can you guys share any of that? Like anything that's come up with people, like outside of like their HR, like some people with sleep, some people with their ability to.
Yeah, I can definitely share.
I remember one of you had a really good one.
I think that one of the people that came in, he had been tracking this for a long period of time, and I actually learned so much from him. I actually bought an Oura Ring because of this too.
There it is.
Seeing all this, just flashing this bling right now. But he came in and he said, like, he was like, my numbers are actually like pretty good. Like, he came in higher HRV, like low resting heart rate. He works out all the time and does so much in his body. But he said for him, for the first time ever, he's actually feeling his body. Like he was like, I can feel when my legs are tired. It's not like just looking at the data. I can feel whenever I've been at like my social like capacity. It's not just a readiness score. And I was like, I can't say his name, but I was like, that literally speaks the most to me because we can look at all this data all the time, but the true meter is inside of us, and it's our discernment and our trust and our alignment that we start following. But for him, he started to just feel more. He was like, I feel like I'm present in conversations. I feel like I'm listening and can remember stuff better. And he was like, every morning I'd wake up, be like, readiness scores good, ready to take on the day and not really think about it, or readiness score really bad and I'm gonna have a slow day. But he was like, actually, how do I feel when this is happening? And his stuff actually fluctuated quite a bit when he was in here. I don't know if he shared this with you, but he came in with really high numbers and was looking at a lot of stuff in his health. And he's like, actually things started to fluctuate a little bit. And now at the end of this 4 weeks, he's like, I've hit a new level of like my baseline on his Oura Ring. So I think a lot of stuff outside as well than just the data.
The woman I was the one working with, she was actually, so she was there for the study, and that was kind of what she was there for. That was it.
I'm here.
And she was like, and it would be really great to just kind of let go a little bit more in my life and be more basically flexible and of ease, out of routine. When I'm in my routine, it's like, I feel like I need to be in my routine, but when I'm out of it, I kind of become frazzled. And side note, it kind of came out, she was like, I actually have a really strong fear of elevators. It's like just kind of there. And I'm like, oh, tell me more about that. And she was like, well, it happened something when I was younger with my brother and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that's really interesting to see how that would progress as we go. And she's like, oh, I mean, that would be really nice because it is kind of something that I have to always call the hotels and see if there's stairs. And it's like actually a bigger deal than I'm leading on. And I was like, I absolutely. And the goal here is to be actually free of those things that are holding us back. Like when we want to book a trip, we don't have to even think about if we're on the second, third floor, first floor, whatever it may be, we can just be there and experience all that is to be there. So at the end of 4 weeks, her scores are amazing. She's really surprised by it and really excited by it. And she went on a trip and she was like, for the first time ever, I felt like I was more go with the flow during it. And it was a big trip across the country. And she was like, and I used the elevator and we didn't stay on the first floor and I'm so happy about it.
That's
so
freaking huge.
So many things beyond the data that is underneath the reason why the data was a certain way. Like there's always more to the story.
That's so amazing. Do you have something?
I did. I was going to say too, one of the people that came in here, and this was something I'm going to sit down with her later, but she was sharing with me that she basically got the Oura Ring to track her cycle. And it seems really similar to this. It's like kind of like this almost like hypervigilance, basically, of like, I can do this, I can eat that, or I can't eat that. And the Oura Ring kind of tells you the data. And there's so many things outside of that data that's just like life quality, like quality of life, like not having to prepare to go to this hotel, like how much stress was actually on that woman's like mind and heart and weighing on her shoulders. And we talk about this all the time, but 95% of everything is subconscious and it takes up space and energy. So when that stuff starts offloading a little bit, of course your sleep scores and a lot of stuff is going to start changing, but more so than that, the space you feel in your life. And it reminds me of my second Oura Ring person, but she got her Oura Ring to track her cycle. Her cycle was very off for a very long time. And the last time I chatted with her, which we'll have a full sit down, everything started completely changing. And it's not that what she said was, she was like, I actually stopped looking a lot at the data and I just started to feel into my body, like on the table, like I'm breathing into like lower centers and breathing whenever she got home too. And a lot of things starting shifting like that I'm like, how present does that make someone? How much more potent does that make someone when they're having conversations, when they're with their family on vacation or doing other things like that? So yeah, small thing, but like huge thing when we really look at the grand scheme of stuff.
I think you said presence. I mean, like the whole point of the Oura Ring is to give data to help people to know like where their readiness score is. That's like the big thing, right? It's like, do I push today or do I rest, right? And so like by having this data, it gives people that. But I think for us, like what we've always done, even without the Oura Ring, like that's what we teach, right? Like getting tuned in, being present and feeling in and being intuitive. Like, what do I need today? So I love it. I used to have an Oura Ring. I got it when our daughter Lion was born 6 years ago. And then after 3 months of like 3 straight months of like, you have a very crappy readiness score. Yeah, because my daughter's been up for the last several hours of the night.
So he lost his
ring.
I
lost it. I was like, get out of here. and,
Tossed it in the
tossed
river.
it,
Yeah.
never found it again.
Tennessee River.
But it would be interesting. But again, it's like using this tool to feel internally, but hopefully the goal is that we don't need the tool. We don't need these measurements to really feel in tune. And like, what do I actually need? Yeah.
Or we don't even need it long term. I think things like that are good to connect points in the body. And then from there, you're like, oh, okay, now I actually know what that feels like without even having to look at my scores.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Anything else pop out about the Oura Ring study? Oh, I mean, it was such a success that maybe we'll do another study coming up in the next
I
one.
would love to do more studies. The thing about the Oura Ring was that it's purely objective, meaning we actually get the data versus subjective. All we do here is we hear subjective information from people of my life has changed, my anxiety's almost gone, I'm connecting deeper with friends and family, I'm more present with my kids. We hear this all the time, but I think it's interesting to have a cohort of different things, like a cohort of people who come in with depression and we actually track it. We understand what they've been through and now what they're going through, how they feel day to day after sessions and things like that. So depression would be one that's on the horizon. PTSD would be really interesting. Migraines, sleep. I mean, I could go on and on and on.
Which we'll definitely
And
do.
it's like, it's so interesting because our process is so infinite. When people come in and they're like, will my headache be gone in 4 weeks? I'm like, I don't have a crystal ball and you're going to be seeing changes. But now that we have like that finite data too, to meet with that like infinite of like, your body will be changing. I think those things go really well hand in hand together.
Totally. I also love that the data is like built over, like you get the best data over time.
Yeah.
And like we always have to, like, you're going to see change the first month, but do anything for 1 week versus 1 month versus 3 months versus a year. Like that's when you really see like true, like where the shift changes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm super excited as we continue this. So, all right, well, let's continue on to our next subject that we're going to talk about. People coming in through this process, people interested. This could be just a nice clip that we can share and have people share with other people, because we have plenty of people be like, what is exactly going on and what's this process going to look like over time? And Erica just alluded to it, people coming in to our space and they start this first month of care. Me and Monica, when we first opened, we joked around all the time, like, yeah, we think this is something that people are going to do for a long period of time. And obviously Erica and Lauren know that as well. But we would never buy a car without test driving at first. So like that first month, that's for people to like really feel what's actually happening and what this is actually going to do for them. So we have something called the reset phase. So we have the reset, the rewire, and the optimizing phase. But let's first talk about that first month. What can people expect in the reset phase?
Yeah. So the reset phase, I think, is quite literally its name. It's a full reset for a lot of people when they've been dysregulated or feeling out of balance, or a lot of people say they just don't feel like themselves anymore. I think what happens in life is a lot of those patterns will start to accumulate and they'll build up in our body, build up in our mind. And a lot of the times we can kind of brush past most of it, like tough conversation, stressful day at the job. And then we start playing that stuff in our mind. And it actually becomes like our norm. And that's what the reset is. It's resetting what's already been going on automatically, like autonomically in the nervous system, and slowing those things back down to like the 0 point field, really, or like that homeostasis or balance point. And that's within all of us. We were born this way. That is our natural state. But every time people start getting on the table, their body remembers like, oh, I can breathe into my chest again, or I can like open up my shoulders and expand. And a lot of those patterns actually start to slow down. So a lot of the stuff running on autopilot, I would say, that people don't even expect to change, or stuff that they wouldn't even originally tell us. I don't know how often that happens with you guys, but
all the time.
They'll
Never
either
heard
forget
of it.
symptoms that they had in the very beginning of this reset phase, or they will come in and be like, I didn't know that also not having headaches would also allow me to like enjoy my family. And I'm like, yes, guys. But it's like, of course, when that stuff starts slowing down, our body goes back to what it already has been doing. And a lot of that stuff, I think if people knew how to move through it, they would, but that stuff builds up in our system like blind spots. And then all of a sudden you're reactive with your partner, or all of a sudden you're having a lot of negative self-talk or not sleeping. And I think if people knew how to get back to the root of that, they would. But what our process does, it's kind of like an all for one, where we're resetting this entire master control system in your body, the nervous system. And whenever it has a chance to slow down and kind of breathe with that space, not only does that bandwidth start opening up a little bit, but people actually can start to feel like themselves again. So slowing down so many old patterns is really, I think, the caveat of the reset. And I want to say this too, it's only 30 days. Like 30 days of a reset, or we go by table time or hours on the table. It's really, like, if I think about that for people, we've talked about this, like 5 minutes a day could be something that starts to slow down stuff, and 5 minutes every other day or whatever it might be. But our body needs a momentum and a rhythm, and most people, health, healing, that's awesome. A lot of people are in degeneration, disease processes and stuff like that. The reset is really just slowing that down so we can kind of stop, slow down some of those old patterns, and then start responding to, like, well, what would be in alignment? What could be this goal? Because people will come in and they're like, I want to be the top of my career and I want to be the top of my health and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, like when you're bouncing above water like this right now, like it's like the waves coming, it's really hard to see where we're going. So it's kind of like that, get above water first. That's how I like to see the reset phase.
I actually rarely ever hear people say big audacious things like that during the initial consult, because most
you get
people
different people than Erica gets me.
So here's how it works also. So we have set times when we do initial consults, and we just trust that whoever books in during that time is who we're going to see. From there, we're all working with everybody. So just so you guys understand how that works, and that's a benefit to the system as far as diversity and space being held. We all do the exact same thing, exact same intention. We just have a little bit of a different style, but also a different energy that we provide and hold for each person. So it's actually the benefit to get adjusted by
great.
everybody. But I will say most people, when they come in, at least in my experience, nervous system is so focused on what's wrong, they can't even see what could be different. And so that's why we, at the very end, I think all of us, but I definitely ask the question of just like, who do you want to be? What do you want to change? Like, what do you want to see through this process, but not just this process, like for your life? And I would say 85% of the time they're like,
It's not a quick answer.
That's a good question because, and I asked it so intentionally, everyone is head down like this, and that's their perception system. That's all they can see. So even the intention of that question begins to open up their nervous system to kind of look around and begin rising new patterns and creating new pathways in the brain, in the body. And it honestly changes just from that moment on. And that whole first visit is so beautiful and so powerful. But I would say I don't get those big audacious things until maybe later, because they can't see even above what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
and I get that.
The only thing that I'll add, you guys beautifully explain that, is that people come in with X, Y, and Z going on, and we say we're going to go through this month, we're going to slow down patterns, and all we want to see is change. We've lived a certain life for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, depending on what age people have been, and their neural pathways, their neural grooves in their brain, their nervous system are so locked in, like they are living the same life over and over again, on average, on the whole, for most people, right? And so by coming in here about 45 minutes a week, again, 3 hours total, we're asking over a month,
not that
a
much.
course of a long movie, like over the entire month, like to get in the state of coherence, to just change those patterns, get in a more parasympathetic state. And we always tell people, like, change the name of the game. Some of those changes are going to feel awesome and great. You're going to feel like, man, I have more energy. You're going to talk to your friends like, I don't know what the heck these guys are doing, but I feel really good. And then other days may be uncomfortable, because depending on what you've been through, those old patterns, past wounds, past challenges, they may come to the surface, but guess what? They're coming up to the surface, and they're going to be different than in the past. You're actually integrating those experiences, because now you're in a place that you're in a little bit more calm. You're a little bit more state of, coherence, that you're going to be able to process that stuff. And again, we say this first month is that change. We're not going to fix, not everything's going to be all sunshine and rainbows during that time, but as long as you see change, that means your body's doing something different. And that, from my perspective and our perspective, is the goal of the reset phase. Just to, like, slow down and change what's been going on in the last several decades of our life.
Change is basically the metric that the nervous system is responding. What we don't want to see, let's say I'm with Sarah in the initial consult. I said, what we don't want to see is Sarah's just, everything's the same. Yeah. There's Sarah. We want to see spikes up and down. That means things are shaking up. And when I say it that way, they get it instantly. We don't want the same.
Someone today, on a reassessment forum, we say, what has changed? It has much improved, slightly improved, no change, or
Got worse, yeah.
Got worse. And someone today got mostly improved and worse. I'm like, I love that they put both of those things because,
Perfect.
like, yeah, she's going through the swings. And I will say, we don't want the same. Some people have a certain level of expectation because they come in for A and B, and C and D are changing, but they like aren't even paying attention to that. And many times we'll have people like, yeah, my sleep thing is exactly the same. Nothing's really changed. Well, how are you? How's it been stressed a lot lately? Yeah, it's been really stressful. How are you handling it? Or how are you handling it? And they'll be like, oh, I'm handling it actually like way better. So sometimes we have to ask people certain questions and get them to kind of look at the bigger picture. But sometimes change comes in ways we don't even necessarily see.
And I will say that we often get the question, what can I be doing outside of REV?
Yeah.
Especially during the first month. I think the first month is really important to have this conversation because then it builds as we go into the Rewire optimizing. But I would just say basic needs at the beginning is what really came to me and what I like to communicate to people. Basic needs is just like nourishing myself. So eating well, drinking enough water. I would say also like things like sunshine. Having enough sunshine every single day is so important for our nervous system, for our hormones, for our sleep, everything. And then things like tending to my sleep. Again, basic needs is what I'm saying, but they're actually monumental in the grand scheme of thing. And then another thing is like, how can I be around love and safety the most? So it's like really being around the people that I feel safe with, because when you're processing, you can't process in a place of fear, basically. It has to be in a place of safety when your nervous system can actually process what is rising to the surface and these patterns that are stuck in place. It's going to stay stuck in place if you're stuck in survival. So I would just say those are some basic things that I would say focus on those instead of outside in new things that I'm also adding to the equation.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing too, like the nervous system cannot heal when it's in a state of stress. And I think that really goes unnoticed. It heals in a state of restoration, where people will say that exact same thing to me. They're like, well, what are you doing? And I'm like, getting sunshine, like having good conversations, eating good food, moving my body. They're like, but what are you doing? Yeah. And I'm like, that's what I'm doing. And I'm like, but when's the last time you did that? Like, when's the last time you had a day where you just took care of yourself? And most people do not even, they're like, yeah, that's so basic.
1976.
Yeah, like that's so basic, I don't even do it. And I'm like, honestly, with this Oura Ring data too, for me personally, like seeing when I'm in that restoration state, I'm like, I already felt like I was doing a lot of that stuff, but it truly is the basics, guys. And look back at your life. Like, when was the last day I had like a really good me day, like a day that I felt recharged, rejuvenated? I went to sleep. I felt good in my body. I smiled. Like, those changes are things we hear all the time that I think get overlooked until people kind of get their head above water.
Yeah. Sometimes doing less is doing more for yourself, for pushing the boulder up or just like letting it flow. I mean, it's a silly analogy, but it really does translate to this. And that's what Reset Phase, we really do just invite people to just do the simple things. Don't feel like you have to do a whole bunch of other stuff. And then we talk about, as we move into the next phase, like there are other things that we can do to help accentuate it. But at the end of the day, it's kind of actually just even a deepening of what we're doing. So let's move on to the Rewire, unless you have something else to say about the Reset.
I would love to intro the Rewire.
And so 1 month reset, slowing down patterns, creating change. Our rewiring phase, as we introduce to people, some people, they have their month, they got great changes. They're like, yeah, I don't know if I can continue, whether that's from their commitment, whether they're nervous to continue, scared to go deeper within, or finances, whatever it may be. But most people, they continue. And we say, all right, we go through a 12-month process now, taking people through the rewiring phase. So walk people through what that next phase of care looks like.
I will say also the intention of the reset is to develop momentum and consistency in the system, which is going to play into favor as we're entering into the Rewire, as we're entering into the optimizing. So it's not the same unless you're consistent. Just like with anything else, if you want to have more gains with muscle and output in the gym, like it's not one time lifting a dumbbell. Like, you have to be consistent. Losing weight has to be consistent. Whatever it may be, consistency is everything. So we say time on the table is time when you're processing, healing, and integrating. Time on the table is actually going to be your best friend as far as consistency and building that momentum. So as we are entering into the most exciting phase thus far, I think they're all exciting. This is what I say. I'm like half what's it called? Glass half full person. I'm an optimist. So I think it's all exciting. The reset is exciting to me because I have hope. I see change. Things are shifting. I know where I'm going. But Rewire is where people have had decades of depression, anxiety, whatever it may be. They see a shift during the reset. They really see a big lift during the Rewire because that's when we actually add fuel to the fire, basically, as far as bumping them up to 60 minutes per week. I don't know if we said 45 with the reset.
Usually it's 45 minutes.
Just more time on the table it's a 3-month window, and during that phase is actually when the bandwidth begins to open up. The bandwidth is naturally going to be opening up during the reset as we are offloading, but I would say the magnitude of the opening during the Rewire is what is so exciting because your changes are happening faster, integration is happening faster, you're becoming more connected to your body, and it's just bigger changes.
And before you go, Erica, to clarify, we do typically three 15-minute sessions a week for 4 weeks in that first month, and 98 out of 100 people at the end, they actually do a 30-minute session where most people, about 90+% of people, end up doing their 30-minute session. So they actually come less frequent, but they're on the table longer, so they're having more table time, and we have membership prices that save people tons of money because we want people to be able to spend as much time as they can on the table to get the most out of it as well, just to kind of clarify that point. They're not coming 4 times a week and doing, it's actually coming less, but spending a little bit more time in that state of coherence.
And we're meeting people where they're at.
Totally.
There's been a lot going on. It might be different, or if they're a kid, it might be less. Who knows what's going on? But I think what Monica's saying too, it's so interesting to me because I actually enjoy the Rewire a lot too. And I think it's because when people first come in for that initial consult, they are living in a lot of patterns that are stressful and overwhelming and chaotic. And I don't know about you guys, but we call it the glow up sometimes, but someone will sit in front of me, the same exact human that was here 3-4 weeks ago, will sit in front of me, is making eye contact, is shining, is smiling, is starting to come alive. And I feel like that's when the fun conversations really begin because we're no longer talking necessarily about symptomatology anymore. We're talking about lifestyle stuff and what we want to incorporate in that bandwidth as it opens up too. So for me, this is where the fun actually happens because people feel like they start to switch, like Monica said, from degeneration back to vitality. And that's when I think we connect better human to human whenever we're both hey, hi, we're here.
Yeah, and a lot of people will come in with the pain and with the anxiety, and then that starts to go away and their bandwidth increases, and then they start doing newer things as well. And we talk about how do you increase capacity is by having stress in your life, so having challenges. So you can either have them be imposed on the outside or you can impose them on yourself. So a lot of people will start stretching themselves, doing new things. And as these things start to clear, we get together every 3 months and have these reassessments and conversations. And it is really cool to feel how the conversation went from a low level, I'm in pain, to every time my kid does something, I feel this reaction with them. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? So we'll introduce some more deeper concepts of maybe it's a unhealed wound from your childhood that your son or daughter is triggering, or your partner. And it is cool to see, yes, they start feeling better, their bandwidth increases, but they just become I think more fully express of who they truly are meant to be. And that's what for us, the rewiring, you reset those neural patterns, you do something over and over, and as Monica said, that creates that new neural pathway. And it's almost as if life continues to happen, but instead of reacting, we respond. And when we respond the way we want to, that's just
everything
overall better. As a dad, as a husband, maybe I sometimes still react in life. I react way less than I used to, but I know I'm better when I can just take a breath and respond instead of instantaneously react. And I think every mom, dad, and anyone out there can understand the power of that as well.
I would also say this is a deeper way to explain it, but I would say the reset is someone mostly coming in with more of a victim mindset, which we're all there to some degree as far as this is happening to me.
Yeah.
And then as we're entering into the Rewire, it's more of an empowered consciousness as far as oh, now I can respond to my life differently. I actually didn't know that was possible, which is the way I lived as well. So I would say I'm not saying it's a bad thing to have a victim consciousness, but it's basically this all happened to me, or I have this, or whatever it may be. And then transitioning to, oh, what is happening for me is so much greater than that. The way of being is different. So that's also also a natural transition that happens, whether it's reset to optimizing or reset to rewire. Eventually it happens to some degree, and it's a beautiful, beautiful shift.
And we tell people all the time, like, we have literally no answers for you. We just ask questions in those conversations, where oftentimes patterns that are living in your nervous system are also playing out in your life. So when Monica's saying that, it's like a lot of, and Matt said it too, like symptomatology is kind of the beginning stage, and it's like just bringing the system to balance, and then what's there still, or what's starting to shift, or what's starting to change, and working with that energy. And you guys know your lives way better than we do. And the second we say something like that, they're like, that instantly resonates, because you see it, not only you feel it in your body, but you see it playing out in your life. And that's where we start to, I think, really have the fun of like cultivating, who do you want to be? Like, our question at the reset is like, what would be a win for you? And for a lot of people, that's actually the first time that's ever been asked. And that's actually one of the biggest, hardest questions for people to answer for themselves. But when they finally come to the rewire, they're like, oh my gosh, I never even think what I could do for me. And then it's like, okay, let's start playing with your life as if you are creating this, because you literally are. And if everything happened for you, as Monica said, and you're co-creating this, like, why did I create this? What am I learning from this? What did I grow? How did I grow from that? And then the same way Matt's saying, like, all that stress becomes like fuel to your fire, almost, of like, I can move through this and bring that to balance too.
I love the concept of 1% better every day as well. And I'm going to mess up these numbers, so I haven't seen it in forever, but Atomic Habits goes through the numbers of like what it looks like to get 1% better. You think if you got 1% better, you'd be 365 times better at the end of the year, right? But I actually do the math. Every 1% gives you just like a little bit more. They do it actually with like numbers and like investing in the stock market, like putting a little bit more and you make a little bit more. The numbers, like at the end of 365 days, you're actually 2,700 times better. And like, that's really like where the magic happens, like doing this stuff over the long term, having our support to like, because people can heal. People can heal on their own and do this stuff. But most of the time people take a step back and they don't do the things that they're supposed to, which is really getting us into the next phase, which is the optimizing phase. But people really underestimate what can be done in a year. And that's why, after the first month, we say, all right, you've seen what it is. This is our process. We take people through a year-long process. And it's really cool to see the evolution of a human being, what can happen in a year. And then we finish that year. And for some people, it's the end. For many, it's just the beginning. That's fair to say. Again, our goal is not to have people come in here for 3 times a week for the rest of their life. We truly believe that everyone has the ability to integrate and process. But after that first year, we introduced something called an optimizing phase. We use the word optimizing because me personally, I hate the word maintenance care. Yeah. It's kind of like we're just flatlining the rest of our life. We've been open for almost 10 years. 10 years in several months, we'll be open for 10 years. We have a good handful of women specifically, this specific group that came in about 3 months after we opened up our doors, and they have been with us for almost 10 years. They do not have the same things going on that they had 10 years ago, but there's something within them that just knows that this is where they need to be on a regular basis. And for us, we've all gone phases of life where even though we work here, maybe we took a few months off or a month off of getting an adjustment, and it wasn't that we necessarily backtracked, but we just weren't maybe our best versions of ourselves. So please share with the good people what you have seen for yourself, and then with other people going through this process, like what does optimizing look like for people?
Do you mean to
go ahead? I think we'll both talk.
Yeah. Oh gosh, such good questions. What is the optimizing phase, I guess, is what I'm answering. I think for me, whenever I think about the optimizing phase, the reset is us like literally like holding you with both hands. Like you are learning to swim in a pool. You go to the edge, you come back to us, and like this thing happens. The rewire is kind of like, okay, you're learning to swim and you're doing like laps in the pool. I'm right here if you need me. The optimizing phase to me feels like something where people have enough momentum in their life that things are already starting to shift and starting to change. And the point of all regulation integration is self-regulation and integration. And I don't know what you guys do, but at this point I ask a question. I'm like, how frequently, the time between the table time, like when you come in on Friday and then you come in next Friday or something like that, do you still feel regulated? Have you had a lot of spikes? Have you been able to bring yourself back down to your center? And I think what the optimizing phase for people is it's like that, like just like lifting the like balloon in the air just every once in a while, where a lot of people use this as like their meditation time, their life visioning time when they get to the optimizing phase, but it's kind of their chance or their reminder to come back to center. And when we come back to that, it's almost like a reset within itself during that session, because so much momentum has already been built up. And if you've been operating at like 30% when you first come in, and these sessions bring you closer to like 80 or 90, when you start dropping or dipping or missing a month, or where you just said, Matt, it's like they dip to like an 87%, where like 90 was their baseline. And it's not these really big catastrophic things anymore, because they're already creating so much momentum. But now these people, like, they want to do more with their lives. And I think when we have that much bandwidth, this is just my personal philosophy, but the more we're able to give, the more we're also able to receive. And people will start to tell us things like, I just feel like I could help these other people, or I feel like I could blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, we might only see thousands of people, the 4 of us each, but you in your life might also see thousands of people, where I think that you become actually a pillar in your own community and your own family, where you're regulated now, and you can have these conversations from that place, and things outside of you start shifting more than they ever did on the inside.
And I think when people feel 100, and then they feel 87, the contrast of that, it's like, I don't feel bad, but I know I can feel better. And so people will maybe sometimes they take a break, and then they come back in, and then like 2 weeks later, it's like, oh yeah, that's where I'm supposed to be at.
They remember.
They remember. Yeah.
Okay, tangibly with the optimizing, this is actually my most favorite phase, I would say.
All right, this
one is the one.
They're actually all my favorite.
We're going to have to introduce a fourth phase.
The most exciting thus far, because to me, this is sustainable healing. So at the beginning, like Erica said, we're more like coddling, I would say,
I like that
more
analogy.
time.
Yeah,
It's
it's
different. Then Rewire, you're kind of, starting to like actually like live a little bit more, I would say. Like having a bigger bandwidth is like thriving, but it's also like fully expressing yourself. You're more in alignment. As we're into optimizing, you're less dependent on this process, because you've offloaded so much that was bogging you down and actually disconnecting you from the intelligence within your body, which is infinite and which is far greater than anything we do or anything like that. And optimizing, usually people are 30 minutes a week, or sometimes 30 minutes every other week. Sometimes eventually 30 minutes maybe once a month, depending on where you're at. But this is the most exciting. I'm going to go over the weight loss example, because I feel like that's makes it make sense. Here's the example that I give people. So during optimizing, let's say somebody, this is an age-old example, someone needs to lose 100 pounds. So, okay, this person wants to lose 100 pounds, amazing goal. They hire a trainer, they change their diet, accountability partners, maybe they're journaling, meditating, whatever it may be. This person starts to lose upwards of 100 pounds. You're like, oh my gosh, John is doing the thing. It's amazing what's happening. Age-old example again, something stressful happens in John's life, shakes the boat, and actually John yo-yos back to gain the 100 pounds back. This is not just something we're making up. This is actually a thing that happens, not just with weight loss, but everything. The yo-yo effect is actually defaulting to your patterns that got you there in the first place. So as he's seemingly making a quantum leap of losing this weight, it's actually not a set point that's been ironed in and anchored down within his nervous system. So it's not solidified, meaning that anything that shakes the rocks the boat or whatever it may be, stress is never not going to come our way. It's there as an intention. It is going to yank you back to how you were in the first place. So how John gained weight in the first place, we don't exactly know. Overeating, not moving his body, not tending to himself, emotional baggage, basically. So the intention of the optimizing is actually to move that set point up, so you're never going to get pulled back to where you started at the very beginning, which is sustainable healing, in my opinion. Again, less dependency on this process, more like you're free, like you're off. And so for me, I'm actually in optimizing how many years later, but for me, it's like every single day I want to be the best version of myself. And sometimes things just stack up, or something old is rising to the surface. I just need a friend who's going to work with my body, work with my blind spots, and help me to unwind, because I can't see 95% of who I am. If I could, I'd be looking at all parts with a magnifying glass, being like, okay, let's process this from 15 years ago, whatever it may be. That's why I still get adjusted to this day. I just want to be my best self, want to be more in alignment, and there's always more to experience, always.
And when you go through this process, you learn that healing happens when your nervous system is in a parasympathetic, coherent state. The communication is clear. And we, for that year or so that people start this process, we let them know, hey, the healer is not us. It is within you. Like, connect to that. Not just inside these 30 minutes that you're in here a week, but like outside of this as well. And the reality is that we live in a really crazy world where we're overstimulated. We have so much going on that the vast majority of people don't take that time on a daily or weekly basis to connect. So what our goal and what we're here for is like, we're that space. We're that space for you to shut off everything. Phones stay over there, turn it on silent, take your smartwatch off and spend 30 minutes. And it's just a very mindful and efficient way to help continue the process of, and I was going to say resets, like we're constantly resetting ourselves every single time, even when we are in that optimizing phase.
I love that you said it's like their time, time. So we have many couples under care here, and sometimes when one couple's on the table, the other one will come in and maybe tickle them or do something that maybe seems like it's one of us and it's kind of a joke. Anyways. So the other day, the woman was on the table, and the husband came in, and he went on the table. And when the woman got up, she was like, "Did he come in?" I'm like, "Yeah, he's actually back there." She's like, "I told him not to touch me. This is my time." She was very serious, and I'm like, "You go, girl."
I love that.
It's so funny.
And I think like in the very beginning, like people come in with, we'll say 30, 40, 50, literally 80 years of life experience in one direction, and that 3 hours of table time in the reset phase can absolutely start shifting those patterns. And when we get to this new level of momentum, it's like you don't have as many patterns running on autopilot anymore. So you don't have the same mitigation process, but anybody growing, evolving, living their lives, like stuff happens. Mm-hmm. Like life happens, not even just bad stuff, but it's your opportunity to see blind spots, really, and to start taking that next level with alignment and coherence, as you said, Matt.
And we don't necessarily promote this with the words that we put out on the front of our building. It's mostly the reset phase kind of words of anxiety relief, holistic health, all this different stuff. But I will say, to just intro this, as the years go on with people, the conversations, the experiences become far less physical and of this world, and they become more spiritual and connectedness within as well. And so a lot of people use this time to lay down for 30 minutes, clear all the noise, and listen to God, listen to the universe, listen to the love within themselves. And like, man, when people get to that, like no words are said. Like, it's not how you're doing. It's just they get off, they go, and we go. Or just look at them. And that's like a really beautiful thing that happens as people continue to move through the optimizing.
It's really good advice too for anybody under care right now too. Like that's what I use my table time for. What do I want to feel in my life? And really starting to feel that, because when you're laying on the table, those patterns, even the ones that you might not be aware of, are slowed down, and you can step more into that infinite space where I'll have bigger ideas than I had before I got on the table, or I'll sometimes play out a conversation that will play out so smoothly in my mind. And I think that's also like that infinite spiritual piece too, that starts to invigorate every cell of our body. Are we?
What were you gonna say?
I was just saying.
Cool.
Yeah.
Monica's giving me the thing because we got about 10 minutes before we
got kids to pick up and stuff.
So let's go on to the final thing that we want to talk about. We're going to talk about what we're into these days, what you into, quick little round robin, and hopefully, because we're on the journey as well, and we're always getting into new things. There's actually a woman, her name is a psychologist named Vanessa Edwards. She's become kind of popular on YouTube. She's a body language expert, and she talks about like when you ask certain questions, or you talk to someone and say, hey, what do you do for work, or how are you? Those conversations are like the worst questions to ask. But something that she says that you can do is like ask, hey, what's exciting you right now? Because that like increases their dopamine in them, and it's like gets them to also think and shift their nervous system to what's good versus like work is this, and they kind of focus on the negative. So Monica, what's exciting you these days?
We do not have enough time for me to go into this, but I will talk a little bit. Yeah,
just a little bit for sure.
To be continued.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is super, super exciting to me is actually doing a deep dive again for the 80th time into women's wisdom and just women in general. Like, we have so many consults throughout the weeks, throughout the days, whatever it may be. And there is such a theme with the women that I'm seeing. I know the women with you're seeing, and the women you're seeing too, of just this disconnection from self, but it's actually showing up as symptoms within perimenopause, menopause, their cycle, even if it's there or not. And I'm really beginning to ask the question of just like, what's going on here and why is this happening? And the herd mentality, and I say herd because what most women are doing right now is just doing what other women are doing or what they're being told. And what most of them are feeling into is that when I'm going through perimenopause early, so I have to maybe do hormones and they're already on hormones, but they're actually not doing better with that. So I'm just starting to dive deeper into this and asking deeper questions within myself to support these women in greater ways. And I just know, I don't believe that we were born to eventually at some point hit this mark where all of a sudden everything's gone and my body's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. That actually doesn't make sense to me, and my truth meter within that is telling me that's not true. And so a lot of women are playing this out and they're seeing it's not working, but they're not sure what to do. And so this is what really I'm diving more into, and it's just something that's rising within me because it's so needed. And there's so many things women can be doing. That's why I want to continue this for another time, but I'm just so interested.
It's such a needed conversation.
And the intention for today was just to share a little bit of what's exciting and what you're into, because you're still in that research phase and you've been researching it for 15 years, but especially right now, it is so massive in the world that we live in, and a lot of people are getting on these things and it's not helping them. So there's got to be something different. And I've seen you get passionate about a good handful of things. This is one of that we talked about, like the midwives that we had last time.
Similar
energies, giving people, and especially women, the empowerment to go within and to know that they can heal, to know they can find balance. So I'm excited to continue to learn more every time you learn something, and then we'll definitely do a video about it very soon.
Yeah.
Erica, what's got you excited these days?
Also, don't have enough time to go fully into this, but longevity, I think with all this Oura Ring data that's coming up for me, something I'm realizing is that our body is constantly dying and living at the same time. Like cell decay, cell regeneration kind of at the same time. But the more time we spend in that regenerative state or that restorative state, how that actually changes our chronological age compared to our biological age. So that's really what I'm looking at. Chronological age is like your age in years. Biological age is like your age and how well your system's functioning, like how well your body actually functions. So to kind of suspend that timeline for myself. And I think for theory, I've said this for years, like we're talking about this is how we practice. I'm like, I feel younger. I feel younger than I even did 10 years ago. I feel healthier. And it's one thing to feel it, but now I'm starting to actually learn it and get the data. And like my Oura Ring was like, your numbers are basically like an outlier. Would you care to share your data with like research? And I'm like, actually, I really want to know the research for myself too. So I'm really into what is helping me live not just longer, but healthier, like health span compared to lifespan.
They got you. They're tracking you now.
I'm like so in it. I'm so in it. I go into the back and I'm like, do not track anything except for my Oura Ring can track everything about me.
Longevity is a beautiful conversation to have because it's about quality of life, not just living a long time. It's like your quality. And I had Ed on here, Ed Jones from Nutrition World, and we talked about Brian Johnson, the guy who is like pretty much hacking everything and doing all sorts of crazy stuff. And I think he comes from a place of disrespect, like a fear of death, where there is this balance of like, how can I increase my longevity? How can I live a really high quality life, but also like love the way I age, love being who I am being as well. So two beautiful things. You two ladies keep researching, then we'll do separate videos on those things because we're here learning along the way and no answers, right? And then I will finish off with what's exciting for me. Two things. Number one, September's coming. Football is coming. I am so excited for the next 17 weeks of Sundays, man. I love me some NFL football. So I love NFL football. College football I like as well, but Monica knows Sunday after one I typically enjoy. It's a perfect time to rest for the weekend. Number two, we have been training at Forte Fitness here in Chattanooga. All of the REV Docs has actually been going about twice a week, getting trained by Adam, Sarah, Amanda, Javi, and their wonderful team. If you're local to Chattanooga, definitely check them out. I haven't been trained in over 15, 16, 17 years since college baseball. And like, it's one of those things too, it kind of relates to like what we do here. Like, I know how to work out. Like, I know how to put weights on. I know how to push a sled. I know how to do these things, but there is something about having someone observe you, having someone work with you, having someone say, hey, try this, do this. Similar to kind of what we do as well with helping people to connect to their innate intelligence and what they already know. And I've just really enjoyed the whole process. Not only am I seeing changes like physically having this support, but my person who trains me, shout out to Adam Lozano, former Army, former military man. We'll have him on the Jam Sesh one day. He demands excellence without saying anything. And for me,
he says something.
He does say something. He talks shit for sure. But it's like exactly what I need, because it's not only physical, but it's also like mental, emotional, and like spiritual, going deeper within myself to push that limit just a little bit more. So if you're local to Chattanooga, and if you are a REV member, we actually have a special gift for our entire REV community that's on the membership to get 3 free sessions over there. So in the next couple weeks, all of you guys will receive those, and definitely take advantage of it, because they are amazing over there at Forte. Anything else, ladies?
That's it.
Awesome, guys. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad we took this little month off or so. Again, these videos will continue to come out, maybe not every week, but every couple of weeks, because we really enjoy having these conversations, and we know that you guys find them valuable because you tell us that, and you are always asking for more as well. So we'll be there as much as we can, as long as we don't have to push the boulder up the hill and it's rolling. We're going to be here for you. So love and appreciate every single one of you guys. I hope you found value in this. Please like, please subscribe, please share with a friend. And until next time, have a wonderful day.